pregame Monday to Friday from 6:35 in the morning.
It's one more day after today before we say goodbye to 2019. As I promised you, we will be looking at three aspects over the next coming days. We looked at the past on Friday. It was? Yes, today's Monday. So today we will look at the present. And maybe right after the New Year's celebration, we will look at the future. But for today, our topic for commentary is the present. We often hear the sayings that there is no better time than the present, or do not put off for tomorrow what you can do today. We are supposed to be living in the present and not dwelling on the past. And yes, we don't really know what the future will bring. So much of what we do or do not do today at this moment is influenced by our past and at the same time shapes our future. So it is therefore very important that we be aware of what is happening around us now. Why? It not only gives us a bearing on where we were, that is the past, but more importantly, it tells us where we either hope to be or where we will be, our future. So let's look a little deeper into the wider world today, the present. We know what problems exist. We can speak about environmental problems, climate change. We can speak about social issues. Are we satisfied with the status quo? Let's say issues related to gender assignment or sexuality or the seeming preponderance of sexual abuse and rape. How about economic development or political freedoms, including those related to free and fair elections? Are we satisfied with where we are? Are these issues one we see only on the international news broadcast or view on social media? Do we really need to consider or be bothered by any of these issues here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines today as the year 2019 draws to a close? Or are we too small a fish in a not so badly off, or perhaps we really cannot make any meaningful difference on the world stage, so why bother? Okay, so let's start with my last statement. Is SVG really too small to make any meaningful difference or impact on the world stage? If you say so and you hold this view, then maybe it should logically follow that our quest and ascension to a seat at the United Nations Security Council is really a farce. Or is it that the old saying goes, we stepping in boots too big for we feet? On issues such as climate change, it is clear that our actions in whatever sphere will have almost negligible effect on the world, but nonetheless should not be ignored or slighted, since its impact may be more profoundly felt from a moral standpoint. Case in point, the elimination of non-reusable plastics or styrofoam products in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when viewed from our percentage consumption or usage in the world, is almost not recordable as a percentage. However, again, as the old saying goes, 1 full basket, and the destruction of a single mile of coral reef, say, in our Grenadines, can have a detrimental effect elsewhere, not just in the Caribbean region. The far-reaching hand of the lobbying groups and special interest groups must never be underestimated. For when funding is sought, there are usually strings attached. Of course, there are those who see no issue with some of the agendas being put forward by many of these lobbying groups. And often, they cloak their arguments in the language of modernization, whilst rubbishing traditional values or social and religious norms that others hold to. It is why the present is so important. Because if we fail to act now, we may not have a voice or a choice in matters relating to this country or its independence stance. Today, the argument may be over gay rights. Tomorrow, it may be over another issue, say that there is nothing wrong with pedophilia. Let us not fool ourselves that those who advance these agendas are morally sound and have limits. And finally, to our youth, to those persons who are still under the age of 30, you are satisfied, or are you satisfied with the status quo? Well, probably the more pertinent question might be, do you know any different? Do you know anything different? Do you have any experiences that would shape and form your thinking from what exists now? Or are you totally reliant on information supplied to you, or are you interested enough to seek your own sources of information? Your present determines your future. If you are confined by your present, if you are satisfied with what exists, if you are not willing to question or seek to determine which paths you will trod, know that when the future becomes your present, you must own up to your responsibility. You cannot blame anyone, and surely there will be no sense to the saying, if a been no. Remember, your tomorrow begins today, and the present determines your future, 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 your future.